Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the third day of FICCI MSME Week, which we have been organizing since Monday to celebrate the International MSME Day, which happened on June 27th. And after 2 days of a very interesting session, we are here to discuss about a very interesting topic and very important as well, which is access to finance for MSME. And a lot of deliberations keep on happening on this subject to see that MSMEs get faster and easier access to credit. Beyond that, we also think that there are emerging technologies which are coming up, and there are new tools which are emerging which can help MSMEs to access the credit much easier than in traditional form. Hence, today we are here to discuss some of those platforms and some of the opportunities which can be through them. Today's session will be moderated by Sucheta Shahji, who's our past chair of FICCI MSME committee, and she's a currently director and promoter of Atlas Integrated Finance Limited. She has over 25 years of rich experience in the finance sector with a focus on wealth management. She's also an MSME consultant and independent director on various corporate boards. She's currently on the board of National Governing Board of FICCI Flow, which is FICCI Ladies Organization, and leads many social and women entrepreneurship related projects under the banner. With us, we also have a very eminent panelist who will be sharing their thought on the subject, Mr. Kailash K. Varodia, who's the CFO of RXIL, Threads Platform, Mr. Ramesh Dharmaji, who's the advisor of Global Alliance for Mass Entrepreneurship Game, Ms. Rachna Bhusari, who's the Vice President of National Stock Exchange of India Limited, NSC, and Mr. Gaurav Gupta, who's the co-founder of RuPace. So welcome all of you. And on this note, I hand this over to Sucheta ji for moderating.
Thank you, Mr. Mukhi, and I welcome all the panelists on board today. There is a broad consensus that MSME is the next growth sector. Some key challenges strengthen the credit, compliance, and ease of doing business. Low-cost finance, a key driver for MSME growth, is yet to reach a vast majority of Indian MSMEs. And for those who have access, and this is sometimes but neither sufficient nor timely. With the call for an Atmanirbhar Bharat, India has signaled that MSMEs will drive the growth and are expected to contribute 50% to the national GDP and 60% to the exports by 2025. To achieve these targets, MSMEs must become more productive, competitive, and scalable. At present, we have around 37 schemes and incentives by the central government at national level only for finance. And again, talking about the state level, just talking about Maharashtra, we have 10 more schemes. But however, there is lots available. But what is happening is the awareness and the implementation of these schemes are major hurdles. To flourish and grow, India's MSMEs require an ecosystem with favorable entrepreneurial skills, infrastructure, connectivity, access to credit, capital to grow. Surveys suggest that limited access to finance is the biggest impediment to the growth of MSMEs. India's MSME credit ecosystem is now becoming a very dynamic one, with facilitative steps taken by practically all relevant institutions, notable innovations like OSIN, Threads, bank fintech tie-ups, SME listing, setting up of Samadhan, MSMEFCs, and more. These innovations are being pursued by various stakeholders, some of them who are with us today on the panel. We specifically will focus on interventions that will ease access to finance and ease of working capital. So our first speaker today, Mr. Kamlesh K. Varodia, CFO RXIL, the Receivable Exchange of India Limited. Threads refers to Trade Receivable Discounting System and is set up as per the RBI guideline. It is an online electronic platform and an institutional mechanism for financing factoring of trade receivables of MSME sellers against corporate buyers and PSUs. So over to you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. So I'll just share my screen. Screen is visible?
Yes, it is visible.
Yeah, hi. Good afternoon, everyone. And thanks to Fiki for giving us an opportunity. So as ma'am thanks Sujita ma'am also, because she has introduced trades very well. So before we go, what is trades and how it will work, let me just add to what ma'am has said. Ma'am has said that, in 2025, we are expecting 50% contribution by MSME to the GDP and 60% to the total exports. But currently, these are obviously 1 year back data, where MSME plays a very important role, and almost 11 crore jobs coming from the MSME sector, and 97% is basically from micro and small. And the contribution of MSME in GDP is 29% and total export 45%. So they are a backbone, but this is the pain area. This is the ET Magazine survey 2 years back. If you see that MSME is almost 65%, they supplies to a private sector, big, large corporates, government and PSUs and MNCs. Okay, but if you see in the right hand side, the 69% of the cases where the MSME get the payment after 45 days. And this is the pain area of the MSME, where they are not getting the easy liquidity available with respect to whatever receivable they're giving it to the buyers. And in I think almost 60 rather than say 74% cases, MNCs and government department or private sector, there is a delay. And recently, I think Dharmaji will definitely cover this. The study done by DNB and GAME in May 2022, it is already published, that total delayed in the MSME sector is almost 10.7 lakh crore, okay, which is 5.9% of GVA of India, and 80% belongs to micro and small, which is 8.55 lakhs. And out of that, 3.3 lakhs is basically towards the large 1,000 corporates who has delayed the payment. And what we have seen is that 70% cases, it is more with respect to the PSUs or government department where there is a delay. So obviously government has taken a various step. In 2006, first MSME Act came into the picture, which specified that the MSME should get payment within 45 days from the goods or services acceptance. And then subsequently in 2012, the government has also mandated that the outstanding on the MSMEs to be declared in the annual reports of the particular buyer. And if there is any delay with this, if it is more than 45 days, then they have to provide interest for that. Now, RBI also set up the trades, basically trades receivable discounting, where we are discussing more to help the MSME with respect to their receivable financing or with respect to their invoice financing, where there is a credit period or where there is a delay, and then MSME get finance against those particular receivables. E-Samadhan portal, during that period, the E-Samadhan portal also set up to address the complaints of the MSME. And 2019, NACL set up, where it's a utility platform where the supplies made by the MSMEs can be uploaded on the platform, and if it is delayed, then the name of that particular buyer get highlighted on that particular platform. So this is a journey basically. So it is almost a 1 decade idea where the government has thought of the trades platform to be developed in India. So it is started in 2008, where SIDBI and with NSC has actually taken the initiative. They actually studied the NAFIN model, and then subsequently done many presentations to RBI. And December 2014, RBI came up with a guideline for a trades receivable discounting system. And accordingly, SIDBI and NSC has applied for that. In December 2015, SIDBI and NSC got the in-principle approval to set up the platform. Accordingly, they have formed a new company called Receivable Exchange of India, RXIL. And then they submitted a report to RBI, and RBI has given a final approval in December 2016 to go live. 9th January 2017, RXIL then as the first trades transaction in India. So what are we? RXIL is basically a marketplace or a platform or an exchange who facilitated the invoice financing on a digital platform. The whole object of forming the RXIL is to help their MSME to finance or to get the liquidity against the receivable of they raised on the big corporate or a government department or a PSUs, so that it will improve their liquidity. as I told you that NSC and SIDBI are the promoter of RXL, they are holding 30% stake. Other stakeholders are SBI 16%, ICICI 16%, and Yes Bank 8%. As I told you, the whole idea of the platform is to bring a digital journey and to more competitive rate mechanism for financing against the receivable of the MSMEs. So how it works? So as I told you, we are a platform, we are a marketplace. So we have 3 participants, and these participants are basically a many-to-many relationship. When I say many-to-many relationship, it's basically a one buyer can have thousands of MSME vendor on the seller side of it. Same way, one seller can have 10, 20, 15 buyers on the buyer side of it. And there are multiple financiers. So all these participate in any invoice financing, basically there are 3 participants, the buyer, seller, and the financer. So this participant get registered on Trades platform. We have 3 participants, the buyer, seller, and the financer. Now, the seller category will always be MSME, okay, because their receivable get financed over there. As far as the buyer is concerned, it's a large corporate, a medium corporate, a government department, and a PSU. They can be a buyer on whose credit strength the financer is relying and making the financing. So financer category, basically banks and NBFC factors. Now in the recent RBI guidelines, as per the RBI notification, and other NBFC can also come as a financer, but they have to seek for permission. They have to get the certification of registration from the RBI to be financed on the Trades platform. So this the beauty of this platform is that this participant get registered on Trades platform. So there will be no bilateral arrangement between the buyer or a financer or a seller or a financer for availing the facility of financing on the Trades platform. So they register with RXIL, as a unit unilaterally, and whatever documents, whether it is KYC, whether it is application form, whether it is agreement, it is executed with the exchange. Now, how it works? So, as I told you, this is a many-to-many relationship. Every buyer and seller will have their different relationship. Some buyer and seller might have 15 days. Some buyer and seller might have 45 days. Some buyer and seller might have 30 days. So, before starting, once they get registered, before starting the transaction, they have to define the financing term that what is the credit period, who will bear the cost, because this platform not only support the factoring as well as reverse factoring. Factoring, where the cost of financing is being borne by the seller. Reverse factoring, where the cost of financing is borne by the buyer. So all these terms get defined on the platform, which is agreed between the buyer and seller. Only after that only transaction will flow. Now here I want to take more time, because this is the whole process or the whole mechanism how invoice get financed. So we take a small example, as a big corporate, like say I'm just taking a name of say Mahindra and Mahindra, and ABC is the supplier who supplies the goods to them. So normally the practice is that Mahindra and Mahindra will raise the purchase order to ABC. Based on the purchase order, ABC supplies the material, and once the material is accepted, the Mahindra and Mahindra will say, okay, I'll make the payment to you after 45 days based on the terms of the purchase order or the contract. Okay. Now ABC is a very small guy. He requires the funds. Take an example that ABC and Mahindra is already registered on the platform, and by seeing the Mahindra and Mahindra, the financer is ready to take a exposure on the platform. So what will happen? The moment ABC material got accepted by the Mahindra and Mahindra, offline upload the invoices on the platform. Now we have both the options. MSME vendor can upload the invoices, or the buyer can also upload the invoices. In any of the case, second party became the counterparty. So they have to accept it. The moment they accept it, it becomes a factoring unit. Now, obviously, buyer have 3 options. If he has not received the material, he will not accept it. If the material is of short quality, he might be returned and advise the seller to modify the entry, or he will approve. Take an example, ABC has supplied the material of 10 lakh and full material is approved by the buyer. The moment he approves it, it becomes a factoring unit. Now this factoring unit come into the auction for the financing. When I say auction, that means this is visible to all the financer who's ready to take an exposure on buyer like Mahindra and Mahindra. So they will put their interest rate. We normally call it as a bid. This is a reverse auction mechanism. You can call it an interest rate or discounting rate or bid rate. So it flows from higher to low. That is reverse auction. So take an example, Yes Bank quote 8%, SBI quote 7%, then ICICI quote 6.5%, and then Bank of Baroda quote 6%. So 6% is a very good rate, which is acceptable to the MSME. So they will accept this bid. Now we have morning 9 to evening 9 window. So whatever bids are accepted between this window, it gets settled through NPCI on T+1. So all the transactions on the trades platform are settled through NPCI. It's totally automatic. There will be no manual transfer or RTGS or NEFT required for the settlement of the transactions. So what we do when you onboard a financer and a buyer, we take auto natch debit mandate, which allows us to pull the money from the designated account and push the money to the respective party. In the financing leg, T+1, we will debit the financer account and give it to the vendor working capital account wherever they are having a working capital bank account. If they are not having any working capital bank account, then definitely we can give it to in the current account once we have all the proofs in our hand. Once the vendor get the payment, then all these alert with respect to settlement and everything goes to the buyer, seller, and the financer. On due date, we debit the buyer account and give it to the financer. So this is totally digital, or online journey. I'll say there is no manual intervention required with respect to physically movement of the documents or manual transfer of RTGS NEFT on the platform. So this is the whole process. To just more simplified, this is how the factoring works, where seller upload the invoices, buyer accept the invoices, financer bid for it, and seller accept because he's bearing the cost of financing, and then financer make the payment through NPCI to the seller's account, and on due date, buyer make the payment. In the reverse factoring case, where buyer upload the invoices, financer bid for it, buyer accept the bid because he's bearing the cost of it, financer disbursement the amount to the seller account on T+1, and on due date, the amount recovered from the buyer's account. Now, there are lots of benefit, considering this platform is basically meant for the MSMEs. So there are lots of benefit, and this is one of the, I'll say, revolution in the financing of the MSME, because there are many various schemes of the government with respect to giving the financing aid to the MSME sector or a startup kind of thing. But financing against the invoices, and that is also on the strength of the buyer, is one of the biggest, or I'll say it's a revolutionary step in financing world of as far as the MSME is concerned. So this is first of all multi-financer model. So the MSME who are supplying to a big corporate or acceptable corporate to the financer, there are various financer who's ready to bid on those particular invoices, and that will really reduce the cost of financing because there is a competition available. Plus, considering that financer are getting the priority sector lending benefit for the financing done on the platform, whether it's factoring or reverse factoring, that also encourage the financer to quote a better rate or concessional rate on the platform. A quicker payment because there is no follow-up requires. The whole journey can be tracked on the system by the MSME vendor as well as the buyer. So there is no follow-up required. They know that if the bids are accepted between 9 to 9, they're going to get it in their account by 1 o'clock in T+1 basis. And this is a without recourse to the seller. This is where it is very important because the financials of the sellers are not analyzed before financing on the platform. It is purely based on the strength of the buyer. So it is not impacting their financial position of the seller. That's why it is without recourse. If something happens to the buyer on a due date, it is between the buyer and the financer to meet the obligation to recover the money. So there are lots of benefit, and obviously this is a digital platform, paperless platform. And a very transparent platform. This add to the advantage to the MSME seller with respect to their invoice financing. So obviously there are benefit to the buyer also because see, as per the MSME Act, the buyer needs to make the payment within 45 days from the goods and services acceptance days. But on this platform, they can enhance their payment terms so that they will bear the cost of financing. So might be their payment terms are 30 days, but if the buyer requires 90 days for their own self, they can very well do this on platform. And this really strengthens the relationship of the buyer and the supplier, because if the supplier is good and is supplying the critical material and based on, and they have limited limit access kind of thing from their banker, this will really prove that advantage for the MSME, and this will strengthen the buyer and supplier relationship. And we have a capability to integrate the ERP or SAP system of the buyer, so there will be no manual intervention or there is no manual things to be done as far as trades platform is concerned. And again, no follow-up and everything is required because all the journey can be tracked on the system, totally digital, paperless, and integrated platform. This is beneficial to the finance also because at the end of this, the buyer coming on the platforms are really good rated kind of thing, buyers. This is the last place where they want to default because the guidelines over here to declaring a default are very, very strict If the default continues for more than 5 days, it gets reported to RBI, to DFS, and all the financiers present on the platform. So this is the last place where buyer want to default. Totally automated solution what we have as far as the financer is concerned. We are integrated with various financiers, and the kind of for financer also it become a one kind of marketing tool where they can sell their other products to the buyer or supplier based on whatever performance they see on the platform. And one of the biggest advantage which encourages the buyer to financer to come on the platform and do a financing at a good rate, which is a priority sector lending benefit. So lots of government initiative taken by government to enhance this platform or to create awareness about this platform is that mandated all the PSUs and government department to register on TRADES platform in their circular in October 2017. And subsequently in November 2018, they also mandated all the corporates whose turnover is more than 500 crore mandated to get registered on TRADES platform. And any financing happening on TRADES platform qualify for the priority sector lending benefit, which gives or encourage the financer to come on the platform and do the business. And there are lots of follow-up that there are lots of encouragement done by the government of India, the MSME ministry, the RBI to enhance this platform. We are already integrated with GEM. So government e-marketplace, it's basically a Flipkart or Amazon for the government bodies or PSUs to procure the supplies from that side. So if it is unpaid, an invoice needs to be a finance that can be pushed to RXL Trades platform. Why trades? I don't want to discuss that because it's more to just give you a snapshot. What we have till date, what we have done from last 5 years, we have completed 5 years journey. We are the first platform who got the license from RBI. We have more than 11,000 MSMEs present on the platform. Approximately 800 buyers. Out of that, 100 plus CPSs are there. Financer is more than 50 financer present on the platform. If you see the kitty of MSMEs, 90% approximately from the category of the micro and small. And this is the people or this is the entrepreneurs who requires the fund. They have limited fund availability from the banker side, obviously because of some limitation at banker and also or limited collateral kind of thing. So these are the guys who require the funds. So trades really help them. We are actually catering to almost 800 cities in India, even though we have 7 to 8 offices in India. Still, we are catering to 800 cities thanks to our online onboarding journey and the web-based portal for financing the universities. We have done till 31st May, we have done more than 26,000 crore of financing on the platform, catering to more than 15 lakh invoices. The rate range is from basically 3.55 to 12.5, and average rate what we have seen is 6.82, is a very competitive rate. Tenure of financing from 1 day to 180 days, and invoice range, there is no minimum invoice required. We have handled from 100 rupees to 15 crore of invoices on the platform. This is some glimpse of trades coming into the various medias and everything. We have an online onboarding journey. So for MSME, it is not that they have to physically visit the RXL office or interact personally interact with the RXL officials. There is a totally online onboarding journey from putting their GST number, PAN number, their MSME category, mobile number. They can start their journey. Registration journey is very simple. All the from the PAN number and GST number or SIN number, your data will automatically pre-populated. So your 60-70% of the application form get filled in. Then only you have to comply with some basic detail like bank details, authorized signatories, everything. And then you have to comply with the KYC entity, KYC of the entity, KYC of the authorized people, your GST registration number, and automatically the master agreement and everything will get generated, which is also we have an e-signing concept. So all your journey is totally digital, so which will help the MSME. So if I talk about pre-COVID, we were having around 1,800 MSMEs in last 2 years. Thanks to online onboarding journey, we almost onboarded around 8,000 plus MSME through this online portal. So this is where it makes a difference. You can visit for any query. You can visit to www.rxl.in. I'll stop my presentation over here. If you have any query, please tell us. We will like to address it. So over to you, Suchita ma'am.
So thank you, Mr. Varodia. The TRADES workflow and the operational process was very well explained and a lot to learn. So before we go ahead, would we have any questions?
I'm just checking if there is any question on it.
Or I also have one.
Meanwhile, you can ask.
Yeah. So I was just one is that you have MSMEs as sellers, but do you plan extend to have MSMEs as buyers also in future? Because there are a few MSMEs who sell to the medium, the smaller and the micro to the medium ones. So and now with the GS, I mean the records available on the data available, it's not very difficult. So is there a scope for that?
Yeah, ma'am. So so there is no restriction on the buyer to get registered. Even the MSME can also get registered. We have few examples. The only thing is that the financier should be have a comfort level to taking a call, because the financer taking a call is basically totally unadvised and unsecure. So it is a purely a comfort level of the financer. But yes, what you said is correct. The plans are already there. We have few MSMEs already registered, and they started doing a business on our platform. And we are also working with Sidbi. Dharmaji is already there. Where we are MSME to MSME, we are exporting to have on our platform also, with the kind of data is available, like Oken model is there or aggregated model is there, from where we can extract the data. So it became a more of cash flow based lending rather than traditional way of historical based financial model.
Yeah, and also, just generally, there are a lot, there are very low entry barriers. So MSME lending has seen a gush of private lenders and fintech firms. So you see consolidation in this space or tighter regulations?
So it's totally regulation, tight regulation. But good step is that, previously when RBI started, it was only banks and NBFC factors, and then they allowed the other NBFCs also. Obviously, there are few guidelines with respect to that. NBFC should have more than 1,000 crore of asset side and non-deposit taking, and 5 crore and above net worth. But that qualifies around almost 180 plus NBFC coming into the picture. So this will really increase the kitty of the financer, and this will also increase that risk appetite to be taken by, because there are, if you know that there are few NBFC who are very cluster or segment driven kind of thing. So someone might be expert in the auto sector, or someone will be in textile sector. So that will play a very important role.
More specialization. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, sir. So is there something, or should I go ahead, Mr. Mukhi? I think I'll go ahead.
Just someone is asking that, on the MSME boarding number side, how do you see the progress? You just mentioned about 8,000 MSMEs. So is there any plan in terms of you see visibility of that more MSMEs get onboarded and numbers get increased? Because that will also probably maybe a measure of success of these platforms.
Correct. Yeah. So Deepakji correctly said, MSE number has really grown well, especially in this COVID scenario. But the kitty, as of now, almost 6 crore MSME we have. And on Udyam also, around 92 lakh MSMEs got registered as on date. Obviously, it will increase, number will increase. In last 6 months, it will increase like anything. So to increase the MSMEs, what we are doing is that, first of all, we are reaching out to all the MSME associations kind of thing. At a state level also, we are doing that. And we are now also integrating with Udyam portal, so that as of now we are already integrated to verify the data. Now we are integrating to take the data from the Udyam portal, where whatever MSME get registered on Udyam portal, whether we can reach out to them and also educate them with respect to how the benefit can be derived from the trades platform.
Okay. I think that's helpful. Thank you.
Okay. Now, so debt is cumbersome and equity is costly. So access to capital actually demands from SMEs better financial discipline, healthy balance sheets, and good governance. The SME sector has thrived primarily on the back of financing facilities and facilities through government-backed guarantees, credit insurance, export-oriented units, and schemes for equity financing. These facilities are supplemented by institutional infrastructure for advocacy, technical research, refinancing platforms, and easy access to services. So our next speaker, Mr. Ramesh Dharmaji, Advisor Gain, the Global Alliance for Mass Entrepreneurship, will be addressing the above. With 38 years of experience in IDBI SIDBI, Mr. Ramesh Dharmaji has worked extensively in the promotion, development, and financing of MSMEs across various geographies and clusters. This has been in association with various stakeholders such as governments, RBI, banks, SFCs, industry chambers, multilateral institutions. His experience with MSME sector can help to build mass micro enterprises and scale mass entrepreneurship. So over to you, sir.
Thank you, madam. So first thing is, I would like to speak on a report which we, first on the game. I was earlier with SIDBI and CGM and retired about a couple of years back, and now I am advisor to game. And we are focusing on generation of mass entrepreneurship. So first, I would like to talk to you on a report which we came. This is one of the first kinds of report in the country. See, people have always been guessing what is the kind of receivables of the MSME sector, what is the delayed payment situation. So there was no data. So for the first time, we along with Dun & Bradstreet have, based on data of over 5 lakh units, have come out with a report, and based on our advanced quantitative techniques, we have estimated, no, we have brought out this very well researched and well written report, which was released recently by the Honorable MSME Minister. So I'll just share this one small screen, and then I will go to the other aspects which you talked about. So just a minute. Can you see this this thing, madam?
Yes.
Yes, we can see.
The delayed reports, is it available? I mean, is it visible?
Yes, it's visible, sir.
Yeah. So as I said, this is a very important report which we brought out, and we'll talk about it. But basically, you know, about game is that see, our mission is to catalyze the nationwide moment for entrepreneurship and favorable conditions for growth and both of existing and new entrepreneurs, resulting in about 50 million jobs by 2030. And over half of that, we want it to be MSME. We are focused that a lot of women entrepreneurs should be there. Now, our approach in game is, you know, basically we work with various verticals kind of things. We focus on mindset development, youth entrepreneurship, women entrepreneurs, unlocking finance for MSMEs, and ease of doing business. We have, you know, various kinds of initiatives at the ground level. Basically, we are a platform which, you know, we work with other partners, a backbone organization which works with other partners for creating this kind of ecosystem wherein more entrepreneurs grow and more jobs are created. Our whole focus is to create more entrepreneurs who can create more jobs. And so that's how we do. And our priorities are listed here, which is co-creating and discovering new models of entrepreneurship, which, you know, in various, even in the fintech companies and all, we have been working with various fintech companies to make ease of doing business simpler. Then amplifying models. We would like to work with government organization, government schemes, which can be amplified further so that people get benefit out of it. Okay. Then I'll just this. Yeah. Yes. So this is a broad area of where we work in. Now, as far as the report is concerned, it is a very well researched report, and these are what are the things which have included. You know, this thing is very clear. We have found out that about 10.7 lakh crores worth of money is locked of MSME money is locked up in the buyers. The buyers could be large, the buyer could be small, whatever it is, but more than 10 lakh crores worth of money is okay, and it corresponds to delayed payment to the MSMEs as a percentage of 6% of the GVA. So what is the importance of this report is that, we found that the based on about 5,000 units, which 5 lakh units where we data we had with Dun & Bradstreet, we did this research, and we found that this delayed payment issue was not being addressed properly. It didn't have that kind of listening, that kind of conversations at appropriate levels. So we thought that was one of our main ambition and main intention of bring this report and putting this on the top of the agenda of the government, the institution, the bank, the RBIs. So there is greater attention on the issue of delayed payments. Okay, and this has been a very persistent. I remember in SIDBI, even in the 1990s, we were talking of delayed payment. Even in 1990s, the government came out with Prompt Payment Act, and where 90 days was the norm. Up to 90 days, you have to before 90 days, which was subsequently brought down to 45 days. But the problem is the whole thing depends on the buyer's intention to pay. If the buyer doesn't want to pay, there are various kinds of loopholes, various kinds of exits which he can resort to. So that is one thing what we felt is, once we bring this conversation to the fore among various policymakers and decision makers, it could make a difference. And as I said, there is a huge policy asymmetry in the whole thing. So that is another issue. Now the question is, why do people don't pay money on time? So these are the top 5 reasons we have found out based on our research and based on research of the data which is available with Dun & Bradstreet. First thing is, it is not the relationship is not one-to-one. It's more of a servant and a master relationship. Most of the cases where the MSMEs are very much dependent on the large-scale sector for business, for survival itself. So that being the case, their arms can be easily twisted. So these are some of the 5 reasons which are there, the main one being, as I said, the credit terms are detrimental to the if I'm an MSME, I go into a large scale sector, he says, if you want to supply, you supply me on 180 days credit, or you don't bother. There is somebody else to supply. So if I have to survive, I need some orders, so I do it. So that is one of the main reasons which was there. So now the question is, what are the impacts of this? What are the impact of these kind of problems? Is higher cost of goods. So MSMEs have to incur more interest costs. He has to borrow from the market, he has to borrow from banks, he has to bring in his own money, he has to raise equity, whatever could be the reason. So the cost of goods which he sold, obviously he has to build it into his cost, so it becomes higher. Okay, sometimes even if they sell at very low margin which doesn't cover, and ultimately the MSME is not viable. Okay, and then what happens is, once there is a overall system like this where MSMEs don't get money on time, more and more people don't start units, or they fail to get motivated to start these units, and the whole supply chain is weakened by this. So these are the ways impacts, and it is estimated that if MSMEs are paid on time, their total turnover could go up to 3 times what is currently now. That is what there have been studies and estimation about it. And we have found that there are enough number of solutions in the market which address it. For example, RIXL, what the TREDS platform which is there, SIDBI has been a part of it. We have been trying to promote this platform. In fact, personally, I have been talking to the Tamil Nadu government, the Kerala government, and other governments, so that we get more and more people onboarded. And so the solutions are, the RIXL platform is there, but again, RF platform in the current shape, or the TREDS platform, address only a small portion of it. There's a huge potential to it. Government has been mandating the large industries, the PSUs, the mini ratnas, and other people to be onboarded on it, but it is taking time. And even if they are onboarded, they don't discount it. As I said, the whole delayed payment issue is because of a larger unit or larger buyer is unwilling to commit or honor his commitments on time. And then this dispute resolution mechanism also is very weak. So we are suggesting, in fact, we have been having discussions with the ministry, wherein we thought, we could bring in modern technologies for this online dispute resolution techniques, which the government has agreed and they are experiment with it. So these are some of the solutions which are there, which we can implement. So in short, what I would say is that we have see a lot of learnings from this, and the main thing is we would like to bring this into the conversations of people, so that this issue becomes a main point where this resolution of this problem can become a smooth factor in the operation of the MSMEs. Now, another thing Madam asked is about the credit flow. Access to credit is one of the main challenges in the ecosystem, and the game has been addressing. In SIDBI also, we have been addressing in the last 30 years. SIDBI has been coming out with various innovative instruments, innovative policies. The banks have been addressing. In fact, one thing has been recognized in the banking system is that the banks, with their model, with their cost structure, are not able to reach money to the last mile, or to the last small customer, the very small customer. So they have said that they need to partner with this fintech company who have business model, who have technology, who have the wherewithal for last mile connectivity, and also assess the MSMEs based on proxy data. So that is another thing that is having in the ecosystem. A lot of co-lending is happening, a lot of bank partnership is happening, so that the credit to the MSMEs increase. But this is one of the supply side. In the demand side also, there are a lot of challenges. Asymmetry of information that is submitted by the MSMEs to the banks and institutions. The kind of account keeping is there. There are also a lot of coaching and handholding and escort services have to be provided to the MSMEs, so that they come up to a certain level where the bank's confidence is generated. See, basically banks have money and they are not able to lend it, or they are not able to get good units to lend because of certain kinds of risk perceptions, because of information asymmetry. So we have to bridge this gap, and at GAME we are trying to do this in association with banks and institutions. In fact, SIDBI has been kind enough to have an MOU with us, and we will be working with SIDBI to see how we can bring the various players in the ecosystem to help enhancing the flow of credit to the MSMEs in the country. So going forward, I feel the fintech companies have a big role with their models, and there are various kinds of fintech companies are there. There are various kind of NBFCs are there, and banks have enough kind of understanding of the market also. And once these fintech companies come of certain critical mass, I think the whole system, the banks, the fintech companies, the NBFCs together can reach. Currently there is estimation that only about 20-25% of the credit needs of the MSMEs are met. Okay, and there is a huge gap. So I think this gap can be bridged by these kind of new instruments, new way of dispensation of credit, new way of delivery of credit. I think that's what I would like to share at this moment.
Thank you, Mr. Dharmaji. So would we have any questions for him? And I would also like to ask about, since you were talking about the timely payment, Samadhan is a very good, MSME Samadhan has come as a very good scheme. So, but would that be available?
Yes, Samadhan is there, madam.
Yeah. So, but would that be available even to the traders now, because traders are available? Can take the
MSME traders are classified as MSMEs, so they are also eligible.
So anybody so they would also be eligible. And what about the schemes for women entrepreneurs? I would like to ask, being from the
floor. So women entrepreneurs has been in the focus of the, many banks have, every bank, if you see, will have a women focused kind of a scheme. And even the credit guarantee which is there also has schemes which are giving more coverage, so that more number of women can be covered. So earlier there used to be some kind of equity schemes for women also, which of course, which is not there now. But there is Stand Up India scheme. The government of India has it where every branch has to give one women entrepreneur in every branch has to give. So that kind of motivation is there to the banks to give loans to women. Now, one more thing I would like to say is, SIDBI, GAME will be partnering with Niti Aayog to set up a platform wherein we want to. This is basically women-focused platform, wherein we want to cover more number of women entrepreneurs, provide a range of services so that more number of loans can be given, more number of entrepreneurs can be, come be motivated and helped. So this is another initiative GAME is taking.
Sir, I just have one suggestion that, because I'm dealing with a lot of women entrepreneurs, very often they don't have that majority stake, but if they are on the management, or if they are like taking on the helm of the affairs, even that could be considered as women entrepreneurs, because at times, because of funding from the family and all, they may not have above 50%. So it may be just that who manages it, also if that could be considered. I mean, just a suggestion.
Yeah, madam. That cuts both sides. What happens even in the Stand Up India scheme, we have noticed that most of the time the women have made fronts and they take the incentives that are there. So this is a good suggestion. But it is always fought with certain kind of, people are there in the market to misuse that.
Right. Okay, fine. Anyways. So thank you, sir. In India, most SMEs operate on debt markets, but cost of raising debt for SMEs is increasingly becoming problematic, both from the point of adequacy and timeliness. In the emerging market scenario, where mergers and acquisitions have been increasingly surfacing, firms both in India and abroad have been looking for such options for expansion. But for this to happen, SMEs should have strong equity base, and SME exchange route is a safe option to access capital markets. Now, coming to our next panelist, Mr. Rachna Busari, Vice President, the National Stock Exchange of India Limited, the world's second largest exchange in cash market trades. She is responsible for all India business development initiatives of NSC for listing on SMEs on the bourse. She is postgraduate in financial management and commerce and law graduate with nearly 20 years of experience on the working with NSC. In her earlier roles at NSC, she has handled functions like listing, investigation, member supervision, and clearing corporation operations. She is also the vice chairperson of the World Federation of Exchanges SME Working Group. So, Rachna.
Good evening to all my co-panelists, and thanks, Suchita, for the introduction. So we've heard about how difficult it is for SMEs to access finance, and we've also heard that how RXIL is helping them discount their receivables and actually have their funding to the working capital. And I think GAME also, we heard a lot about the GAME as well. So in continuation to, let's all accept the fact that yes, SMEs do play a pivotal role in developing the country and play a very robust role in the economy of any company. But the perennial challenge that these SMEs face is access to funds. With the ever-growing need of funds into their business and with the growing demand for the products and goods and services, it becomes imperative that they look out for funding mechanisms. And at a point of time, there reaches a time when they're not able to access more of debt, but the need for fund remains. In that scenario, it's very important for them to understand that there are various alternate fundraising mechanisms that are available to you. And one of them is what I'm going to talk to you about, is the Nsc SME platform called Emerge. I'll share my screen. Just give me a moment. Yeah. So is my screen visible?
Yes.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So I'll be talking to you about what is this Nsc Merge platform. I'll just share some statistics with you to see how we've traversed the path from 2012 onwards, and also what are the benefits that an SME entrepreneur can look at while exploring the ideas of fundraising. And lastly, some of the initiatives that NSE has taken over the period of time to facilitate SMEs to raise funds. So Emerge platform is a separate platform on NSE. It is regulated by SEBI, and it was started in 2012. In order to facilitate the current ecosystem to have a better asset class and to provide more services to their clients, the merchant bankers, the trading members, and the investors who were already accessing capital markets, they can still access SME without any further registrations. And for the issuer perspective, a separate criteria was designed so that small and medium enterprises can also raise funds using the capital markets. We all know that till 2012, it was the larger companies who were raising funds using the public funding mechanism, but a need was felt that we should also provide this opportunity to the small and medium enterprises. And hence a differential criteria and a separate platform was formed, and we named this platform as Emerge NSE SME Emerge platform. So from 2012 till date, we have more than 250 companies that have got listed on this platform, and approximately 4,000 crores of funds have been raised using this platform. On an average, we've seen 15 crores of funds being raised by an SME. So we have seen the issue sizes from 4 crores to 85 crores during the 10-year span. So there is no limitation on how much funds can be used raising this platform. There are some criteria which may actually facilitate that companies can raise higher amounts of funds also using this platform. 21 sectors have been covered by this 250 companies. Technically, we have covered most of the sectors that are operating, that these SME entrepreneurs operate from. And more than 100 companies have migrated from the small and medium enterprise platform to the main board platform of NSE. So generally what we come across is that, the entrepreneurs are always in a dilemma as to, what kind of a company should list on NSE Merge. And am I too small to list on NSE Merge, or my turnover is already 500 crores. I think I'm big, but I still do not meet the main board criteria. So what is the right time for me to think about listing, and when can I get into NSE Merge platform? So this particular flow chart will depict that it is basically a startup or a new company which is primarily funded by its promoters, by the relatives and friends and families. That will be a stage where the company would have just started the business. It has yet to prove its business model. It has yet to show sustainability in their businesses. And the company graduates from an early start company to an early stage company and demonstrates continuous growth over a period of time, has a very sustainable business model. At that point of time, the entrepreneur is in a position to decide that if I need to access alternate fund, if I need to access funds, can I explore equity funding as one of the mechanism to raise funds? So it's a company which is in a growing phase, which is good to be called as an NSE Emerge ready company. And like I told you that we see migrations happening from the SME platform to the main board company. So we see gradually these SMEs growing over a period of time and then finally migrating to the main board, where they are able to have wider access to investors and have higher visibility with respect to their trading volumes and with respect to their business. So what is the eligibility criteria? Who can list on NSE Emerge? SEBI has laid down very simple criteria stating that any company with a paid up capital of up to 10 crores can list onto the SME platform, and any company between paid up capital of 10 to 25 crores can list on SME platform or the main board platform. So the option has been provided to the entrepreneur. And also if the company decides that they want to list on the main board, then they have a separate set of criteria which are higher or stringent than what is there for the SME criteria. NSE has stipulated several SME criteria, which is that the company should have a track record of 3 years. the company should have an operational profit of 2 years out of the 3 years of existence, and they should have a positive net worth. When I say 3 years of operational history, it's very important to note that the promoter's track record, irrespective of the entity that he was doing his business on, will get the benefit of an operational track record of 3 years, even if the company is a newly incorporated company. So this leaves a lot of this gives a lot of opportunity to even partnership firms and sole proprietorship firms to think about listing. And gradually, when they think that yes, they are good to go for listing, they can just form a private limited company or convert their partnership firms and don't have to wait for 3 years to come up and file for their IPO. Since SME platform was meant for small and medium enterprises, it had to have some differential framework which would allow them to raise funds without the onerous compliance requirements or with respect to higher regulatory requirements on them. So a separate regulatory framework was put in place and was very simplified. It took into consideration that the cost of the SME going for an IPO, the time taken by the company to go for an IPO should be not very cumbersome and a lengthy process for the companies. Considering these, it was decided that for an SME IPO, the only requirement would be to have 50 minimum allottees, unlike the main board where it is required that you should have at least 1,000 allottees. So this was basically given, this leeway was given considering the fact that SMEs are very local in nature. They may not have a presence across the length and breadth of the country, and they may not be so known across various investors. And hence, to allow smaller or a smaller number of investors to participate, yet they could complete their IPO, and hence 50 allottees is what the requirement for an SME IPO is. It's 100% underwriting mandatory in SME IPO. This takes care of the fact that the merchant bankers and the entrepreneurs are very serious about their IPO and will be opening the IPO only once they're very sure that they have the right interest of the investors into their book. The third differentiation I can say is about market making, considering that this could be a high risky investment, number of allottee, number of shareholders may be very small in this kind of a company. And since the lot size is also differential for an SME company, we may not have higher liquidity into these SME companies in the secondary market. So in order to take care that there is no lack of opportunity for an exit and an entry to an investor, market making has been mandated in this segment. So what does this market making means? That means that at the time of an IPO, a market maker is appointed, and this market maker subscribes to the inventory of the SME company at the time of IPO and holds this inventory. And based on the holding of this inventory, he gives a buy quote and a sell quote on a daily basis. This ensures that there's mandatory liquidity, and at any point of time, any shareholder who wants to exit or who wants to enter has a buy quote or a sell quote onto the order book. So this takes care of lack of liquidity into the secondary markets. Like I said, that it was also made an attempt to ensure that we have less onerous compliance requirements. So the compliance frequency for SME segment has been reduced. What is quarterly to be submitted on a main board company has to be submitted half yearly on the SME. So this takes care of that, they get adequate time to prepare themselves and they don't have to bear extra cost for frequent compliances. Migration, a company which lists on the SME platform, after being listed on the SME platform for 2 years, has an option to migrate to the main board, provided their paid up capital is more than 10 crores. So this allows a company to enter into SME or enter into capital markets with less stringent entry norms, establish themselves onto the capital markets, get the feel of being into a regulated space, get accustomed to the regulatory requirements, and then gradually move themselves from a small company to a large main board company. So we've already seen that 109 companies have migrated from the NSE SME platform to the main board of NSE. The investors, in this case, since it could be high risk, high return kind of an investment, this market has been kept precisely for more of informed investors and to keep the retail investor away from this segment, or it has been said that the market lot has to be in 1 lakh and above, and even at the time of IPO, the application size has to be 1 lakh and above. So considering this regulatory framework, it has been observed that this has really helped the SME companies to enter the capital markets with a lower eligibility criteria, without the fear of compliances being a burden and getting into a non-compliance mode, or getting overburdened with a lot of compliances. Hence, this platform works like a test case, where you can actually come list yourself, see how you perform in the capital markets, see how your team is getting into the discipline of financial discipline of reporting information and accountability to our shareholders, and then you can actually gradually migrate to the main board. How can a company list on NSE Merge? It's a very simple process, and it's a very time-bound process as well. And the other important factor is that NSE would be there walking the path with the company right from the day the company decides to list on the NSE SME platform. So we would be, putting you on, guiding you to the intermediaries who offer these services. Once your intermediary has been finalized, they will prepare the DRHP, submit the documents to NSE. NSE will conduct its independent due diligence, and post that satisfaction of the due diligence, we will issue our in-principle approval. And after the in-principle letter is been granted, the company can start their IPO process. And within the after the end of the IPO process, within 6 months, within 6 days, the company get listed onto the NSE Merge platform. A very important and a distinct feature here is that in-principle approval for SME IPOs is given by the stock exchange. SEBI does not give any approvals for an SME IPO. So because of this, the time taken for an SME company to launch its IPO gets drastically reduced, and the company is able to access timely finance. What is it for a company to list on the NSE SME platform? The biggest advantage that we see is the company is able to get higher visibility, being in a regulated environment, your information being disseminated on the various terminals of NSE. So if you, for example, bag an order and you have to announce that information to the stock exchange, so all the terminals, 2.5 lakhs of terminals that NSE brokers and its various intermediaries have, that will be flashed across. The information will be available on the NSE website. So you get a lot of visibility by being a listed company. Obviously, being listed presupposes corporate governance norms to be in existence at the company, which gives a lot of confidence to the stakeholders and also adds to the credibility of the company. So those benefits of credibility, visibility, being in the corporate governance, having corporate governance norms in place adds more of value to the company, to the stakeholders as well. It's a very, very efficient way of raising capital, because always when the entrepreneurs reach out for debt, they need to have an adequate collateral to avail the debt. And because there's a limit to what collateral can be provided by the entrepreneurs to the bank, it always helps that they should look out for equity funding as well. And then this proves to be complementary to the debt, and the debt equity leverage obviously gives a lot of advantage, and they're able to access debt more efficiently. So it's a very efficient way of raising capital. The promoter is able to have an appropriate valuation of the company. He's also able to unlock his value at the time of an IPO and create wealth not only for himself but the stakeholders who are joining the company as shareholders. Migration to the main board I've already explained. Once your company is listed, obviously the shareholders enjoy liquidity. In fact, you are able to retain talent and attract talent by being a listed entity. You can offer ESOPs, and if it's listed, there'll be liquidity into the market, so which will actually give employees an opportunity to exit and encash on the valuation that has been created into the capital markets for the company. So it's a very important tool which could be used. for attracting and retaining talents. The SME companies which are listed enjoy better borrowing terms with their banks as compared to their unlisted peers. Obviously, the opportunities for mergers and acquisitions increases when you are a listed entity. You can have a all stock deal, no cash deal if you are a listed entity. There are various ways of enhancing your business value through various strategic partnerships, which could be handled by way of an equity exchange. um, One important benefit again is you can always access more capital by pledging your shares as collaterals. So helps you infuse more capital into your company and have better business opportunities. um, NSC, in its consistent endeavor to spread more and more awareness about this platform and to make the promoters know that they do have an alternate fundraising avenue that is available, and debt is not the only way that they can tap capital. We do a lot of sessions with the industry bodies, with the chartered accountants, with ICSI. We also do a lot of focused group meetings to ensure that promoters understand what is it for to be listed on the Emerge platform and what is the way they should prepare themselves for the journey. We always take these sessions as an important session to dispel some of the myths that people have around the SME platform or about listing per se. Most of the entrepreneurs, when you talk to them about diluting their equity or listing themselves onto the stock exchange, the first question or the first I would say a myth that surrounds them is I will lose control over my company. I may have people taking over my company because I'm a listed entity. So this through this forum, I would want to tell to my SME entrepreneurs that India has very strict laws on I would say hostile takeovers. So we've not seen a single hostile takeover of a listed company just because they listed. You don't have to worry about loss of control because you are diluting only 25% of your equity. 75% still remains with you. So you are the majority shareholder in spite of being a listed entity. The other concern that these entrepreneurs have around is that I will have to disclose a lot of information. I may lose confidential information will be available in the public domain. So I again, this is a myth that surrounds the promoters. It's about that your information is already available. It's the only thing is that while you are a listed entity, your information is in a disciplined manner in a particular format that comes to, and the regular periodicity it comes to the shareholders to make an informed decision. So there's no confidential information that exchange asks you to disseminate to the public at large. It's all about your financials. It's about your businesses. It's about how you have won an important order, which again helps you improve your visibility and have a better standing in your business. The third most important, I would say, a third very crucial fear that the promoters have within themselves is that it's very burdensome. It's very cumbersome and it's very lengthy process. So like I explained to you, there are timelines fit for doing the whole process, and SEBI is not pursuing the document which always allow the entrepreneur to have approvals at the earliest from the exchange level itself. Compliances, the frequency has been reduced, so it's not even burdensome at that level. So I think it's just about taking the decision that yes, I want to at a point of time be a listed entity and be into the capital markets, raise funds using the equity channel, and improve my overall capital structuring. So we also do NSC in its endeavor to create more and more awareness, have strategic tie-ups with state governments and various state governments in their MSME policies or through the various memorandum of understandings have facilitated SMEs to raise funds and have said that, a part of their issue expenses would be borne by the state government, would be reimbursed by the state government. So Haryana government, Punjab, Maharashtra, West Bengal, they in their industrial policies have put down that a part of the issue expenses would be reimbursed. So everybody recognizes the importance of SMEs having access to funding and various options to access of funding, and they in their own capacities are walking that path to help you raise funds and have more options to raise funds. Lastly, I'll just conclude by saying that we also have a nifty SME Emerge Index, which allows all the listed companies to participate in the SME Index. And this is just a dissemination index, not a trading index, but it depicts the growth story of how SMEs have grown over a period of time. So thank you. And over to you, Shweta. Suchita, sorry. Yeah.
Thank you, Rachna. It was a great explanation. And in this times of high cost and high interest rate of debt, I think SME listing is the way to go. So just one statistic, how many of the SMEs have migrated to the main? Just
109.
Oh, already 109. That's great. And by any chance, the lot size could be reduced because, the liquidity, which you are saying market makers have been appointed. But very often, that lot size of 1 lakh becomes a little for the smaller retail investors. So when you're looking at SME, you even look at retail investors. Maybe that could help.
Yeah, so, I know, Suchita.
Okay. I think we've lost her.
Yeah, I think her feed is.
Yeah. So anyways, I guess let's go to the next this thing. So now coming to our next speaker, Mr. Gaurav Gupta, co-founder Rupees. He's a chartered accountant and heads the credit and product development of Rupees, which is essentially a B2B platform for the MSMEs. They believe that community-based and trust and credibility can enable business and reduce the B2B credit risk, very innovatively bringing the MSMEs together and making them a large force. So over to you.
Thank you, Suchita and Deepakji. Thank you, Vicky, for having me here. So let me share my screen. Before I start, let me share one Nsc Merge story. Few of our MSME members have able to reduce their cost of debt by almost 50% just because they listed, they improve their equity base, they were able to improve their external credit rating, and that's how they then be able to reduce their cost of debt. So let me start with Rupees. So essentially, we are building a community of credible MSME because the credibility is the core of commerce or credit. So this is the first super application for MSME.
Okay, can you put it on a full screen actually? Yeah, thank you.
All right. So this is the first super application for the MSMEs where we are helping MSMEs to establish their credibility and discover credible MSMEs. So presently we have more than 25,000 MSME on our platform, and almost 89% of these MSMEs tells us the network effect is one such aspect that is the hurdle for their growth. 83% of the MSMEs unable to establish a counterparty credit risk, and it again become a hurdle for their growth. If we see the data, almost 85% of the MSMEs are micro in India and 13% is small. Only 2% of the MSMEs are medium. Essentially, two major reasons are there. One is a network effect, technology and credibility, and second is no tools available to establish a counterparty credit risk. So we have built this platform for the MSMEs where MSMEs can come to our platform and they can create their digital profile in just 5 minutes. The system is completely automated. We pull lots of verified data from government APIs and some other data points. They can simply make their product catalog in just 10 minutes. Let me give you one data point here. There are 10,000 plus Telegram channels and WhatsApp platform where MSMEs are selling their product on WhatsApp. They are simply showing, sharing pictures of their product on Telegrams and WhatsApp. So this is one such platform where they can come and make their catalog ready in just 5 minutes. And we are getting all such data from the GST HSN, so they need not to put all the data manually. Most importantly, see, when it comes to MSME growth, the counterparty credit risk is the biggest hurdle because people afraid of the bad debts or the delayed payment, right? So if somebody based out of Chennai want to sell material in Punjab, I mean, he's having a fear of bad debts or delayed payment. So on Rupees platform, they can come and they can do a credible discovery, networking and credible discovery. They can guess whether to deal with him or not, and based on our credibility badge, they can take decision how much credit to offer, right? So this credibility badge is we have developed based on 250 plus parameters. It's a financial, non-financial and some other parameters, and it's a completely automated based on GST compliances, ROC compliances, credit bureaus and some other data. For the first time in India, we have given access to MSME about the commercial credit report, or what we call them a CMR or civil MSME rank, right? So though there are 4 credit bureaus, we are integrated with two of them. So we are giving access, free access to all the MSMEs of commercial credit report. And we have built a platform for them where they can come see almost 20% of the credit bureau reporting when it comes to commercial bureau is wrong reporting or some kind of errors are there. So with our proprietary algorithm, they can identify those errors, they can raise concern from there itself, and they can improve their credibility. In last 2 to 3 months, we were able to save almost 40 lakh rupees of interest costs for the MSMEs just because they are able to improve their CMR or the commercial credit report score. Again, for the awareness and the right knowledge purpose, because there is abundance of knowledge, but right knowledge is not available easily for the MSME. So we have created a platform called Rupees Learn in our application itself, where they can access resources and right tools, all the government policies, all the product, right kind of lending platform, cash flow based lending platform, what are the mispractices, how they can avoid frauds in such situation. They are integrated in our Rupees Learn platform, where they can access this platform completely free. So presently 20,000 plus MSMEs are engaging on this Rupees Learn thing. Now let me further focus on one aspect, which is the commercial credit report, or what we call them a CMR, because it's really important when it comes to MSME. The commercial credit report is more important than the individual credit report or CIBIL report. It's both are completely different. So let me quickly take this thing ahead. So see, we most of the MSMEs are not aware that there are 4 bureaus. Since CIBIL is the oldest player in the industry, people knows that the CIBIL is the government body and they give us a rating and they are the data owner, but this is not the case. There are 4 bureaus, bank use all 4 of them, right? And when it comes to MSME, all the business loans or all the loans which is being taken by the business is being reported to business credit bureau and not the individual credit bureau. So this is one such thing which MSME must aware about it. There are some big myths about the commercial bureau or bureau in general, that only default account get reported into the credit bureau, but this is not the case. All the loan data are getting reported in the credit bureau. Again, the very one big myth is the checking credit report will hurt their business credit score or individual credit score, but this is not the case. If somebody is checking their credit score for their own awareness part, so it will be called as soft pull inquiries and there will be no impact on the credit score. But if the lender is checking for loan decisioning, then of course their credit score get impacted. One such thing which is people used to ask me is, CIBIL is the data owner or it's a government entity? No, lender is the data owner. CIBIL is the CIBIL is one of the credit bureau and they are just a reporting agency, right? And of course your credit score is not at all dependent upon your income. It is just a reporting of loans. There is a simple mechanism where all the banks report all the loans data, all the lenders, RBI registered lenders report all the data with credit bureau within 30 days of the month end, right? Now coming to the next part, what is new? Why MSME should track their commercial credit report and not the individual credit report? because of course all their business loans are getting reported into this. Sometimes you may not find any of your ODCC limit, factoring limit, or business nature loan in your individual report, because it's been taken by your business. Most importantly, there are some additional data points which is very important for MSME, which only get reported into the commercial bureau. And one such parameter is month-on-month balance. If MSMEs are accessing their commercial credit report, they can get to know about their month-on-month closing balance. What are the closing balance of CC limit for last month, for last month, and based on their real number, based on their statement, they can cross-check all monthly numbers, and if there is some error, they can identify in very next month. Collateral reports, all the collaterals or security reports are getting reported into the commercial credit bureaus. Business details, I have seen many such credit bureaus where I can find more than one PAN numbers. So there are wrong PAN tagging, they can simply identify the wrong director's details, some wrong business KYC, they can simply identify just by tracking their business credit report, and which of course the MSME can access freely on the Rupees platform. Next is, of course, most of the banks are coming up with the CMR or commercial rank based pricing. You can see one screenshot of Bank of Baroda, where if somebody is having a credit commercial rank of 1 to 3, the pricing is really low. But if they are having a rating of 7 and above, the pricing are almost 4% higher than the normal pricing. So it's really important for a business, for a MSME to maintain a good credit score or a good commercial ranking for a business. And this is how they can improve their commercial rank. Of course, the payment of all the loans are really essential, but sometimes what happens if you're having a CC limit, not submitting a stock statement or a debtors statement is a non-compliances. And if non-compliances persist for more than say 30 days or 60 days, bank used to report is at SMA 1, SMA 2, and if it is more than 90 days, they mark is as a technical NPA. And just by not submitting a debtors statement or stock statement may hamper or may spoil your commercial rank completely. This is very important thing. Another practice which I saw with MSME is most of the time they used to take a FDOD kind of thing. They do some fixed deposit with the bank, and they took OD limit against the fixed deposit, but they have to pay the interest on month basis. If they are not serving the interest, again it impacts your credit report. So there are many ways which MSME should track, and in our Rupees platform, in a single screen, they can track all such parameter in just 1 minute's time. All non-compliances and alerts and everything they can see in a single screen on Rupees platform, and they also get the idea how they can improve their score substantially. So this is about Rupees, how we are working with MSME, and that's it from my end.
Thank you, Mr. Gaurav. I mean, lot of data available and would help a lot of MSMEs. It would really help them grow, and not necessarily that they need to go. I mean, they can directly connect with MSMEs. So that's a great thing. So just one more, any room for exporters, MSME exporters? I know the other side is not there, but any...
Yes, of course. See, when I was in Dubai Expo, we explored the Dubai market. We visited, I mean, almost Indian people, and they are, when it comes to textile or footwear market, they used to import all such materials from India. So on our platform, they can do a credible discovery or all such exporters also.
Okay, great. So that's fine. So I think if there are any other questions, Mr. Mukhi, so then we can maybe just put it up to the...
So I think you were asking her a question, and if Kailash is there, there was one question on threats, but that's more of a comparison between two exchanges. So you can go ahead and ask Rachna what the question you were asking.
Yeah,
I think
so I was asking about the market lot. See, basically, if you want to improve liquidity, if you reduce the market lot a little, it is easier. That's all.
Yes, yeah. Okay, Shwet. Suchita, I get that point. So basically, the product itself has been that it's not for retail participation.
Okay.
It has to be for informed investor participation, and that's how it has been always marketed as, and that's how it's been projected as. But having said that, what we've always been talking to SEBI in this aspect is that we can look at various ways of doing that. If we have to reduce the lot size after a period of time, if not immediately after listing, then can we do it after some period of time, subject to some conditions about company giving its quarterly results, having higher disclosures. Leave it to the options. So we've been talking to SEBI, and SEBI has been also taking feedback from the market participants. So let's see if something in that works out. But we're very conscious of this fact that if we need to develop liquidity, we may have to do something with that aspect of. But the product is for retail, not for retail investors. It's for informed investors. So either we create that awareness that yes, please retail, stay away from it, and we have more institutional guys coming in looking at this as that asset class.
That's fine.
Sure.
So maybe.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So,
I just want to ask that question on the threads. I think whether it's relevant here or not, but someone had asked that if he's already registered with M1 Exchange, which is another platform, and his registration is under process at RXIL, is there any difference in terms of in services or corporates registered? Can you just explain that? Can companies be part of different threads platform at the same time? Mr. Rodia?
Yeah. So yes, So the thing is that the participant has to get registered on all the rates platform. If they want to do it, it's okay, it's fine. So there is no problem. But considering that if the seller is registered on, suppose take example M1 Exchange, but at the end of the day, buyer also has to get registered. It might happen that one buyer is registered on M1 Exchange or second buyer is registered on RXI. For that, availing the facility, obviously they have to register. Plus, there the financer are also different. There are few financiers, they are different on the other each platform. Correct. So considering that KYC norms to be complied, so that's why they have to register on the platform where they want to avail the invoice financing.
Okay.
I think so. Thank you to all the participants. Finance, there is lots available and lots of options open for for all the MSMEs. They just need to take them into their stride and grow. So thank you so much. So Vicky, if Mr. Mukhi would like to close it.
Yeah. Thank you, Suchita ji, for very nice conversation, and thank you to all our panelists for being here and sharing their thoughts on what are the alternate mechanism and channels where MSMEs can look at getting more funds and credit. So and also to our startup friends who are trying to bring in these services together. So this will certainly in some way or other help participants out here who have participated on FICCI Bike platform and YouTube, and I'm sure this kind of experience and knowledge session help in some way these companies. So this is what our objective is, and we look forward to doing similar programs in future also to keep the awareness level high, because that's one portion I keep listening, that there's plenty of schemes, plenty of opportunities, but the right kind of orientation towards how that needs to be taken is not there. Hence, these sessions will help with that objective in mind. And so again, a big thank you. This was the third day of our MSME week. We have 2 more sessions left on skilling and women entrepreneurship, respectively, happening tomorrow and day after. So request whoever has an interest in this subject to join us. We have an exciting skill panel coming up tomorrow. So we look forward to having our registered participant to that program. And again, we'll close this on a positive note and with thanking everyone who participated today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you
so much, Deepak.
Thanks, Deepak.
Thank you, everyone.
Suchita. Thanks, Deepak. Thank you all my panelists.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Pleasure. Right.